Hello dear students, good morning and welcome back to Topper channel. This is Bhavesh Kriplani, your physics faculty. Yesterday we had discussed a lot of topics. I hope you learned all of it very well and you're revising it, practicing it. Okay, because that's the most important part of learning. Alright, so today is your third lecture in this course. This is also the third lecture of electrostatics and last lecture of electrostatics. Okay, in the second lecture today we'll be starting with a new chapter which is capacitors. Alright, be ready with your pen and paper. Alright, let's continue. So today we'll be learning about properties of conductors, earthing of conductors and spherical concentric conductors. Mostly people face a lot of problems with the problems of questions of conductors, right? Today's entire lecture is dedicated to conductors. Alright, so let's continue. We will first of all start with the basic properties of conductors. So first of all, what is the field on the surface of conductor? Field on the surface of conductor is given by E equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Where what is sigma? Sigma is the surface charge density, that is charge per unit area. All of you know this thing, right? Charge by area will be sigma. So sigma by epsilon naught gives me electric field. We can do this derivation with the help of Gauss law. We construct a cylindrical Gaussian surface over here like this. So inside the conductor there is no electric field. Outside the conductor we have got electric field. So flux will be E times area. Charge enclosed over here is also sigma times area. Then you get this formula. Okay. All right. So sigma by epsilon naught, remember that and use that to solve this question. Question is slightly tricky. Okay. Think what to do over here. We are given a conducting plate having charge Q. The plate is placed in a uniform electric field E. Okay, so we have to find the distribution of charge on the two sides of the plate. Think what to do with this. I'll give you a small hint. Assume some charge on the left as Q1 and some charge on the right as Q2. So Q1 plus Q2 will be equal to total charge Q. Let me draw the diagram over here. So this is your conducting plate. Okay, I'll draw a thick conducting plate just to be able to visualize this better. So here on the left I have got charge Q1, on the right I have got charge Q2. We have got external electric field E. So this electric field will also pass from inside the conductor, right? The same electric field is also passing from inside the conductor. So the two charges rearrange themselves in a way such that they oppose this electric field, so that the net electric field inside the conductor becomes zero. So this is the net electric field created by Q1 plus Q2, and these two should balance each other, because what is the property of conductor? Inside the conductor electric field is always zero. So solve this. Your first equation will be Q1 plus Q2 equal to total charge Q. That's your first equation. Alright, what should be the second equation? So observe something. This Q1 charge is spread on this sheet. Assume this to be a non-conducting sheet. So because of that, what will be the electric field over here? Electric field due to Q1 will be sigma by 2 epsilon naught, right? Electric field due to a sheet is given by sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So here we will write down Q1 by 2a epsilon naught, where A is the area of the surface. So sigma is what? Q1 by area. Alright. Similarly, Q2 will also create its own electric field. So that electric field will be given by, oh, it's not a good color. Let's use pink only. So Q2 will create its own electric field, Q2 by 2A epsilon naught. Okay. So Q1 is creating one electric field, Q2 is also creating another electric field, and resultant of these two should be equal to this. So let me write that down. So E of Q1 plus Q2 should be equal to, this should be equal to Q2 by 2A epsilon naught minus Q1 by 2A epsilon naught. Why? Net field should be in this direction to oppose the external field. Net field due to the conductor should be like this. So this should be bigger than the field created by Q1. That's why I'm writing Q2 by 2 epsilon naught minus Q1 by 2 epsilon naught. Okay. But this should also be equal to capital E, because if they cancel each other, only then field inside the conductor will become zero. Correct? So E is equal to Q2 minus Q1 by 2A epsilon naught, or 2EA epsilon naught equal to Q2 minus Q1. Now Q1 plus Q2 is capital Q. So let's put that over here. So 2EA epsilon naught equal to Q2 minus, what is Q1 from this equation? Q minus Q2. So this is equal to Q, sorry, 2Q2 minus Q. So finally I found the answer for Q2. This will be equal to Q by 2 plus EA epsilon naught. And then Q1 will be what? Q minus Q2. So what do we get? So Q by 2 minus EA epsilon naught. So these are the two charges on the either side of the conducting surface. Okay. So let's continue further. Let's look at some more properties of conductors. Okay, so basic properties you already know. Field on the surface is sigma by epsilon naught. Field on the surface is perpendicular to conductor. Inside the conductor, field is zero. But what happens when we have a cavity inside the conductor? So what is the first point telling you? If there's a cavity inside, charges will lie on the surface of the conductor and not the cavity. Okay, basically, let's take one simple example. If I got a conductor over here, correct? This is my conductor, right? And the conductor has some cavity. Let's say this is the cavity of the conductor. Let me change the color of the cavity. Okay, so this is your cavity. All right. Now, the conductor has, let's say, charge on conductor is 2 coulombs. All right. So this 2 coulomb charge will be completely spread on the surface of the conductor. There is no charge on the cavity surface. Okay. No charge on cavity surface. Okay. And obviously no charge in the body. Alright, so the charge of a conductor lies completely on the outer surface. Okay, let's look at the second point over there. If there's a charge inside the cavity, charges are induced on the cavity surface. Now this is very important point where people get confused. So pay attention over here. So this is my conductor, and let me bring the cavity. So this is your cavity over here, right? Now suppose the conductor has charge of conductor is 2 coulomb again, but there's another charge at the inside the cavity. Let's say this charge is 3 coulombs. All right, now how the charge will get distributed? So According to Gauss law, first of all, if I take a Gaussian surface over here, this Gaussian surface is inside the conductor body, correct? This is your conductor body, the colored one, right? So when you take this Gaussian surface, there is no electric field crossing the surface because inside the conductor body electric field is zero. So for this Gaussian surface there is no electric field, right? So flux will also be zero for the Gaussian surface. If the flux is zero, that means what? Q inside should also be zero. So that means total charge over here should become zero. And therefore, if we have a 3 coulomb charge over here, the cavity surface will acquire negative charge. How much? Cavity surface acquires charge minus 3 coulomb. Whatever charge is present inside the cavity, opposite of that will appear on the cavity. Okay? Now, the total charge of conductor is 2 coulombs, correct? So if you say that there will be some charge on the outer surface. So charge on outer surface will be how much? Let's say it is equal to x. So outer surface has charge x, cavity surface has charge minus 3. So total charge of conductor should be how much? Charge on conductor should be x minus 3. And charge on conductor is how much? 2. So I should write over 2. So I get from here x equal to 5 coulombs. So on the outer surface 5 coulomb charge will now appear. Although conductor has 2 coulombs of charge, but inside we also have 3 coulomb, right? So in total 5 coulomb will appear on the outer surface. Is that clear? So this is how the cavities of the conductors behave. Alright. So these are the 2 points. I hope you're clear with them. Now there's one more important point that you need to understand over here. See, right now suppose that there is no other charge in the space. There is no other charge nearby this conductor. So the outer surface will always have uniform charge distribution. Is that clear? The outer surface will always have uniform charge distribution. 5 plus 5 coulomb will be uniformly distributed. Okay. So let's now jump to something which is completely related to this topic. The concept is called as electrostatic shielding. Another topic where students get confused a lot. Concept is very simple, just you have to remember these 2 points. Okay. So what do these 2 points say? First of all, what does this point say? The outer surface shields the cavity from external electrical influence. What does this mean? Let's say we have a charge Q over here, correct? Now this capital Q charge will apply some force on the small q. So the outer surface will counter that force. Is that clear? The outer surface will counter that force so that small q does not experience any net force from the outside. Okay. So to summarize it well, let me take it again through the diagram. Just a second. Okay. So outer surface counters external influence. Outer surface counters external influence, right, on cavity. That means what? If this capital Q charge is applying some force on small q, so let's say this force is F1. F1 is what? Force by capital Q on small q. Then the outer surface will apply another force on the small q. This force will be F2. So F2 is what? Force by outer surface on small q, and F1 is equal to F2 so that the net force due to the outside becomes 0. Outer surface and q, they cancel each other while applying force on the small q charge. Is this point clear? Okay, this is very important. Remember this point. Alright. Now, what does the second point say? Cavity surface protects the exterior from internal influence. This is also very important. Okay, so let me draw this diagram again. So now what do we have? Cavity surface protects exterior from internal influence. What does exactly this mean? So this is your small q, this is capital Q. So small q will also apply some force on capital Q. So let me draw that. This is F1. So F1 is what? Force by small q on capital Q. Right. Then the charge on inner surface will oppose small q. That means the inner surface having some negative charge will apply force on q in opposite direction. So F2 is what? Force by cavity surface on capital Q. And again F1 equal to F2. So these two forces cancel each other. So capital Q will experience no force from this region, no net force from this region, because Q and this cavity, they cancel each other out. Is this clear? So these are the two very important points that you have to remember. Okay, another important fact, like I told you, right, that the charge on the outer surface is uniform. Why? Because this charge will try to distort the outer surface, but the cavity prevents that. Cavity and this charge, they cancel each other, so there is no influence on the outside. Okay, I'll write this statement over here. Cavity and small q cancel each other. Okay, alright, so that's it. This is the basic thing that you just need to remember. Okay, so electrostatic shielding, this concept is clear. Let's view it in practical. So what do you see over here? Here you can see there's a metal cage. Inside the metal cage there's a lady or a guy, I don't know. Okay, anyways, so inside the metal cage a person is sitting over there, correct? And you can see something over here. This is called as Tesla coil. All right, so because of Tesla coil, some electric sparks are coming and jumping onto the second conductor, but the person inside does not receive any shock. He or she is completely safe. Why? Because of electrostatic shielding. What we just learned, the outer surface of the conductor shields the cavity. So here the outer surface of the cage is shielding the person inside from any electrical shock. Is that clear? And this is the concept which is very useful in the case of lightning. If there's a severe thunderstorm, there's a lightning, if you are staying inside a car, the doors and windows completely closed, then you will be safe from any lightning strike. Even if the lightning strikes on your car, then also you are completely safe. Another good example is aeroplanes. So see, aeroplanes travel in all seasons, right? Through the sky. They pass through the clouds as well. So clouds could sometimes strike a lightning on the aeroplanes as well. But the aeroplanes do not get damaged or harmed. The passengers inside are completely safe. Why? Because the aeroplane is made of completely, obviously, of metal, right? Aeroplane is completely made up of a metal. So whenever the lightning strikes, the charge will travel from the outer surface of the plane, and then it will leak out somewhere else. Or see over here, lightning striking on the plane over here, then the charge is traveling and exiting from the end of the aeroplane. Okay, so the passengers inside are completely safe. In both these pictures, are the pictures of actual aeroplanes which are still in the air having many passengers inside. Okay, so aeroplane is example of Faraday's cage, and Faraday's cage is a good example of electrostatic shielding. All right, now I could ask you another good question from this image. Why does the lightning leave only from the end of the wing? Why not from this point, this point, this point, or any other point? Why does the lightning leave only from the end of the aeroplane, of the wing? Okay, that has another reason behind that, which we will discuss in a while. Okay, so first of all, let's solve this question. Again, we have a conductor with a cavity. So a charge Q is placed at O in the cavity in a spherical uncharged conductor. So this is your conductor. This is the cavity. Inside the cavity, we have the charge small q. Okay. Now, if Q is displaced from O towards S, that means you start moving this small charge Q in this direction. So what will happen at the point S, they are asking. Okay, Q is moving towards right. So what will happen to S? Electric field at S will increase. Electric field at S will decrease. Electric field at S will first increase then decrease, or the field will not change. What do you think? Tell me. If you're completely clear with the electrostatic shielding concept, you can solve this question in like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, should I explain? Let's see. So let me take this diagram. And let me draw the second circle over here. So this is your cavity. Okay. Now, first of all, let's understand the charge distribution over here. So here we got a charge Q. Then we will have some negative charge closer to the left side, and okay, there will be more negative charge on the left, less negative charge on the right. Why? Because the negative charge is attracted by this Q, and there will be some positive charge uniformly distributed on the outer surface. And assuming conductor is neutral, assuming conductor is neutral, the charge on the outer surface will be Q. So this Q is uniformly distributed. Correct? Now, what will be the electric field at point S? The electric field will be at point S will be how much? Like I told you, because of electrostatic shielding, this charge and the cavity, they cancel each other. So all that remains is the outer charge. Okay, so this will be only due to outer charge, and that will be equal to how much? The charge is uniformly distributed, so it will behave like a shell, and because of a shell we can assume it to be a point charge, so the electric field will be kq by r. If the distance from the center is r, then we get kq by r. Is that clear? Now, what would happen if I move this charge towards right? See, first of all, I have placed this charge randomly somewhere and I found the electric field directly. So that means if I place this charge anywhere inside, it doesn't matter. The electric field will remain same. Okay. So if I move this charge, let's say towards right, if I move this charge towards right, let's say, then the charge on the cavity surface will change accordingly. Okay, the charge on the cavity surface will adjust itself accordingly. Now it will be more towards right. and less towards left, but still the cavity and the small q will cancel each other, so that there is no influence on the outside. So the charge is still uniform, so the electric field still remains to be kq by r. Okay, so this field is irrespective of position of small q inside cavity. Is that clear? Very important point to remember. Alright, so this question, if it comes in mains exam, now you have to score 100% for this question. Okay, great. Let's now look at the electric potential of conductor. So under electrostatics, when there is no electric current flowing, actually even if the electric current is flowing, we take that the conductor has uniform potential everywhere. Why? Inside the conductor, electric field is zero. Let me explain that. So if this is your conductor, inside the conductor, electric field is zero, right? So suppose if I travel from point A to point B, okay, inside E equal to 0. Even if there is some charge on the outside, we don't care. Okay, inside the electric field is 0, right? So when traveling from A to B, delta V, change in potential will be how much? Minus integration EdR. But as I follow this path, electric field is always 0. So change in potential is 0. Delta V is 0. That means what? VA equal to VB. So every point of the conductor has same potential. That's why we say that the conductor is equipotential. Is that clear? Alright. Now, suppose this is your conductor, right? So outside the conductor, we will get more equipotential surfaces like this. Okay? Great. Then one more last point. If you got two different conductors and let's say you connect the two conductors like this. Okay, this is my first conductor, this is my second conductor, and now I connect both the conductors together. What will happen? Both of them now behave like a single conductor. Both of them behave like a single conductor now because they are connected by a wire. So both of them will now have same potential. Is that clear? Okay, both of them have now same potential. Okay, so try this question now. For the isolated charged conductor shown in the figure, the potential at the points A, B, C and D are VA, VB, VC and VD. So we have to find how the potentials are related to each other. You can see this is your conductor and these are the 4 points. Okay, so what would be the potential for them? Very easy question. Just by reading the question you can answer this. Good. So the potential for the 4 points will be how much? They are all part of the conductor, right? So VA equal to VB equal to VC equal to VD. All of them have same potential. Okay, option D will be the answer. Now a very important point to remember. So let's say we have got two spheres over here of different radii. They are very far away. Okay, they are very far away from each other. Why do we need that? Because so that they don't influence each other with electric field. That's the only reason we want them to be far away. Okay, so this sphere has charge q1, this sphere has charge to q2, and they are connected by a wire. So what will happen? See, so when you connect the two spheres together, this one has charge q1, this one has charge q2, and they are connected by a wire. So both the spheres will have same potential, right? So V1 equal to V2, So k q1 by r1 equal to k q2 by r2. So from here what do I get? q1 by q2 equal to r1 by r2, or q is proportional to r. Correct? Now let's look at something else. What about the charge density? So charge density sigma is what? Charge on the surface is q divided by surface area is 4 pi r square. Correct? Charge density on surface I should write down sigma equal to q by 4 pi r square. So sigma 1 by sigma 2 will be what? For these two spheres, what do we get? So sigma 1 by sigma 2 will give me q1 by r1 square divided by q2 by r2 square. This 4 pi term will cancel out in the division. Correct? So this is equal to q1 by q2 times r2 square by r1 square. But q1 by q2 is what? r1 by r2. So I get from here r1 by r2 into r2 square by r1 square. Now r1, sorry, r1 square, right? So r1 will cancel out, r2 will cancel out. So what do we get finally? This is equal to r2 by r1. Okay, so we can conclude that sigma is proportional to 1 by r. Very important. Charge density of conductor is proportional to 1 by r. Okay, that means charge density on this conductor is less, charge density on this conductor is more. Okay, then what will happen? Look at the electric field. Electric field is given by sigma by epsilon naught. Correct? But so we say that from this formula electric field is proportional to sigma, but sigma is proportional to 1 by r. So electric field is also proportional to 1 by r. Clear? That means if radius is large, electric field is small. If radius is small, electric field will be large. Okay? So for this spherical conductor, radius is same everywhere. So electric field is same everywhere. But if you take a conductor of this kind, where the shape is not a sphere, so if you observe something, radius on the left is more, radius on the right is less. Okay, so just give me a minute. So if you see, if I write down the radius over here, this is your radius r1 and this is your radius r2. So obviously r1 is more than r2. So that means electric field on the left will be less than electric field on the right. On the left, electric field is less. On the right, electric field is more. Okay. So for example, if you take an object like this, see this is a pen, right? Assume that this pen was a conductor. So the tip of the pen has a very small radius. So the electric field at this tip will be very high. So high that it can cause dielectric breakdown of the air molecules. Okay. I hope you remember the concept of dielectric breakdown. So the tip will cause dielectric breakdown of the air molecules. Alright. Let's continue. So solve this question now. Again we have got the same isolated conductor. So for the isolated conductor we have the points A, B, C and D. Okay. Now here just understand something. Point A is exactly on the surface. Point C is exactly on the surface. Point D is exactly on the surface. But B is inside the conductor. So then among these four options, what do you think will be the correct answer regarding the electric field at the 4 points? Think fast. Yes, you're ready with the answer? Let's see. So first of all, observe something. Let me take this image. So observe. Let's compare. First of all, look at the point B. Point B is inside, right? So electric field at point B should be 0, obviously. Electric field inside the conductor is 0. Fine. Now let's look at the points A, C and D. So among these 3 points, where do you think radius is minimum? The sharpest point has the minimum radius. This point is very sharp, right? So if you look at the radius, RD is minimum. Then what about A and C? So this is the curvature of A and this is the curvature of C. If you observe, if I draw a circle for C, the circle will be very large. But for A, the circle will be smaller. So that means A has radius smaller than C. So RD is the smallest, then RA, then RC. But electric field is inversely proportional to the radius. So electric field at D will be maximum, then A, and then C. So this is your order for electric field among these three, and EB is 0. Alright. So which option should I mark? DAC. Option C will be the correct answer. Okay. Good. So let's move on to the next question. Now this question is slightly different. This is not based on cavity or radius, but this question is based on potential of conductor, and it's very important. So a point charge Q is placed at distance A from the center. Okay. So this is a point charge. Sorry, here it is, point charge Q. So it is placed at a distance A. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This question is based on cavity. Okay. So charge Q is placed at a distance A from the center. Okay. And inside the thin conducting spherical shell, which is uncharged. This spherical shell, which is a conductor, is not having any charge. Net charge of a conductor is 0. Okay. And the radius of the conductor is 2a. A point P is located at a distance 4a from the center of the conducting shell. So you can see this point P over here. Okay. And the distance of the point P from the center is 4a. Now they are asking that the electric potential due to induced charge on the inner surface of the conducting shell at point P is what? What does this mean? That the conductor has inner surface, right? So this inner surface will have some amount of charge. That charge will create some potential at point P. We have to find that potential. Got the question? Let me explain it in a little different way also. So this is my conductor. Now the cavity is a little big. Oh. So this is your conductor with a cavity. Okay. So you got a Q charge over here. Let's say this Q charge is positive. So the cavity surface will develop negative charge on the inner side. Okay. Like this. We have more charge on the left, less charge on the right. Sorry, more charge on the right, less charge on the left. Correct. And now we have a point P over here. Okay. So we have to find the electric potential at P due to this negative charge. Got the point? Now think how to solve this question. I'll just jump back to the question for your reference. Yeah. Again, based on electrostatic shielding, and it's not very difficult. Remember, the cavity surface tries to cancel the charge inside it. Whatever this charge will try to do, the cavity surface will oppose its effect at point P. That's your hint. This distance is 4a, this distance is a. So total we are getting 5a. So find the potential due to Q at point P, then opposite of that will be the potential of cavity. So, okay, let me draw this. So this distance is 4a, this is a. So potential at P due to small q charge will be how much? Let's call it V1. So that V1 is equal to, or let's write it VQ, will be equal to KQ by R, and the distance is 5a. So I write down 5a over here. Okay. Now cavity opposes Q, correct? So potential due to cavity V cavity, that is VC, okay, that will be equal to minus VQ. So that will be minus KQ by 5A. Got it? Easy question, right? You just need to remember that cavity opposes charge inside itself. Okay, great. So let's continue. So now we come to the earthing of conductors. So what do you mean by earthing? Earthing generally means that we are connecting a conductor directly into the earth. That's the actual meaning, but sometimes we use this word for many other situations as well. We will not go into that right now, we don't need that. For now, just understand that suppose earth is made up is a large metal ball. Earth is a very huge, very large metal ball. So if the earth has charge q, so potential of earth will be kq by r. Sorry, potential of earth will be kq by r, but charge cannot be very large, but the denominator, that is radius, is very large, so potential becomes almost zero. So earthing simply means that we are making the potential zero. Okay, for now this definition is enough for you. There are much more technical definitions for earthing which you can learn when you join a college. Okay, so for now just remember the concept that earthing means the particular point has potential zero. All right, let's continue. So solve this question now. So point charge q is placed at a distance r from the center of an uncharged conducting sphere of radius r. Okay, so here you have a conducting sphere and we have a point charge q over here. What they are saying now, the radius is capital R and this distance is small r. Okay, so now they are asking that calculate the potential at any point on the sphere. Basically we have to calculate the potential of the conductor. Then they are asking if the sphere is now earthed, what is the charge induced on the sphere? So initially conductor is not connected to anything, then you are earthing the conductor. A little difficult question for many of you, but those who have seen this question, they will find it easy. So try this. Okay, let me give you some hints. So this is your charge small q. the distance of small q from the center is r, okay, and the radius of the conductor is capital R. So this distance is small r, this is capital R. Right now conductor is not connected to anything, okay. Conductor is also neutral. Conductor is what? Neutral. Conductor is neutral, that means total charge is zero. But what will happen? Because of this plus q charge, electrons will be attracted from the conductor towards left. So negative charge will appear on the left side, and because negative charge is on the left, so positive charge will appear on the right side. Is that clear? We have negative charge on the left, positive charge on the right. Total is obviously zero. Total charge is obviously zero. Then how to solve this question? So first important point, the entire conductor is equipotential. They have got same potential, correct? So potential at this point is also equal to potential of the center. So that's the point I need to write down first. So potential of conductor, let me write down V conductor, is also equal to V center, correct? So if I am able to find the potential of the center, my problem is solved. Let's see. So at the center, potential due to this q charge will be what? Kq by R. But this negative charge will also create some potential, this positive charge will also create some potential. But the negative charge is all equidistant from the center. Positive charge is also equidistant from the center. Okay. So if I first of all calculate the potential due to surface charge, that will be what? Integration k dq by r. Why? If I'm taking a point charge over here dq, due to that potential will be k dq by r. This distance is r, right? But because k and r are constant, I get k by r integration dq. Now do integration of dq for the entire surface. Since total charge on the surface is 0, you get this to be equal to 0. Okay. So potential on the surface, potential due to surface charge will be 0 at the center. Okay. Then potential of center is what? Potential due to q plus potential due to surface charge. So potential due to q will be how much? Kq by r. And due to surface it is 0. So I found the potential of conductor also, that will be equal to kq by r. Alright. Now, so I found the answer to the first part of the question, that calculate the potential of the sphere. Okay. Now they are asking if the sphere is now earthed, what will happen? Let's see. So when you are doing the earthing of the sphere, okay, again this is your charge q over here, this distance is r, this is capital R, and you are earthing the conductor. So due to earthing, some negative charge will come into the conductor, or let's say some positive charge capital Q escapes. Okay. Then the conductor has negative Q charge, minus Q charge. Because positive charge has left, so the conductor has minus Q charge. Again we can find the potential of the conductor. So potential of conductor is equal to what? Potential of center. So potential of center is what? Potential due to Q plus potential due to surface. Again, potential due to Q is what? Kq by R plus potential due to surface is now what? See, potential due to surface will be integration k dq by r. I am taking a small charge dq, is distance is capital R from the center. So I get kq by r plus k by r integration dq. So I'm getting kq by r plus k by r integration of dq will give me what? Total charge of the conductor, that is minus q. So I'll get minus q over here. This is the potential of conductor. But due to our thing, potential of conductor will be 0. But V conductor equal to 0. So kq by r minus kq by r equal to 0. So from here I get q equal to q times r by r. Okay. So they are asking what is the charge on the induced sphere, charge on the conductor. So charge on conductor equal to minus q, so that is minus q r by r. That's it. Okay, great. Try this question now based on parallel plate problems. So first of all, let me give a little theory of parallel plate problems. Parallel plates, what you need to remember. So suppose this is your first plate, this is your second plate, this is your third plate. Okay, the plates have charges x, y, z. So charge will distribute on each surface. So on the left surface, charge will be half of total. Half of total. So that is equal to x plus y plus z by 2. This is the charge on the left surface. Similarly, charge on this surface will also be x plus y plus z by 2. Now, charge on this side will be, let's say, q1, then charge over here will be minus q1. And how to find q1, guys? Sum of these two charges should be equal to x. So q1 will be equal to x minus x plus y plus z by 2. So that is equal to x minus y minus z by 2. So this is your charge on this surface. Charge on this surface will be negative of that. Finally, charge over here will be what? Y minus this. So y minus minus q1 means what? Y plus q1. And charge over here will be opposite of this. So minus y minus q1. This is how you have to solve these problems. Okay. Let me give you one numerical example, which is this one. So here you can see we have got two plates now. The plates have charge q and 2q. We have to find the charge distribution of the conductor surfaces. That is, this conductor has one surface on the top, one surface on the bottom. Okay. Think of them like this. So the conductor has one surface at the top, one surface at the bottom. Second one also has one surface at the top, one surface at the bottom. And solve them now. Very easy question, guys. Answer fast. So this has charge 2q and this one has charge 2q, right? Right. So charge on this surface, on the upper surface will be how much? Half of total. Total is how much? 3q. So here I get 3q by 2. Here also I'll get 3q by 2. Now what about this surface? So charge on this surface will be q minus 3q by 2. So q minus 3q by 2 is what? 2q minus 3q by 2. So that is minus q by 2. So here I will get minus q by 2. And since this is negative, opposite of that will appear on the surface. So plus q by 2. That's it. So this is your charge distribution. Okay. Great. Now try this question. Again we have got the same two conductors, but now they are connected by a wire. So what do you think will happen? Again find the charge distribution on each surface. Remember, when two conductors are connected to each other, they acquire same potential. they behave like a single conductor. Easy question, guys. When the two conductors become connected to each other, okay, when they are connected to each other by this wire, now they behave like a single conductor. That means total charge is now 3q, so we get 3q by 2 on the outside, 3q by 2 on this side, and 0 over here. Because they have got same potential due to this wire, there cannot be any electric field. And if there is no electric field, there should be no charge. Okay, I'll write down over here, no electric field in this space as delta V equal to 0. Okay, both the conductors have same potential. Alright, and since electric field is 0, so charge is also 0. That's it. Clear? Great. Now let's jump to the specific, very important questions, that is the spherical concentric conductors. So let's continue with this first question. Remember the concept of cavities. Okay, remember the concept of cavities and charge distribution and just apply that over here. So here you can see we have got two concentric spherical shells. One shell has radius r, the other has radius 2r. Okay, each shell has inner surface and outer surface. Correct? Now a charge q is given to the inner shell. Charge q is given to the inner shell. So you have to find the charge distribution in this case. What should we do? Very easy question, guys. Think fast. Let's see now. It's my turn. Okay. So my first question says that for the spherical conductor, first question says that the inner sphere has charge q. Okay, total charge of the inner sphere is q. And total charge of this sphere is how much? 0. So first of all, over here inside this cavity there is nothing present. That means charge on the inner surface will be 0. Charge on the inside will be 0. So charge on the outside should be equal to how much? Q. So here I will get Q charge. Okay. For this conductor, let me change the color. So for this conductor, this is your charge distribution. Now, what about this cavity? So inside this cavity, we have a charge Q. So the cavity will acquire minus Q charge. And since the conductor, outer conductor has total charge 0, so if inner surface has minus Q, the outer surface should have plus Q charge. So that sum of these two becomes 0. Is that clear? So this will become your charge distribution. Alright. Let's jump back to the question and let's modify this now. Now the two concentric shells again are given to you, same radii r and 2r. Okay. And a charge q is given to the outer shell. Now the outer shell has charge q. So what should happen now? Easy. This is very easy question. It should be like answered in 15 seconds. Shall I explain? Okay. So now again we are given that this is charge 0, this is charge q. So when you find the distribution, obviously first of all inside there will be no charge. Then on the outer surface what will happen? Total charge is 0, this is 0. So here also we get 0, so that sum of these two remains 0. And since there is no charge present over here, the cavity of outer shell will also have 0 charge. So we only get charge q on the outside. That's your charge distribution. Alright? Good. Now try this question. Again we are having same two shells. Charge q is given to the outer shell, charge 2q to the inner shell. Okay. So this is q, this is 2q, and the two shells are now connected. So find the distribution of charges. So when you connect the two shells, what would be the charge distribution in this case now? Not so difficult. Think over this. Give me the answer for charge distribution before connecting the two shells and after connecting the two shells. Let's see. My turn now. So these are your shells. Now before connecting, what will happen? Before connecting them. So this one has charge 2q, this one has charge q, right? So again, when you look at the charge distribution, this will be 0 because there is nothing inside this cavity. So the outer surface of red color shell will be 2q. Sum of these two will be equal to 2q. Now since over here we are getting a total charge 2q, so the cavity surface of outer shell will receive charge minus 2q. Is that clear? And now let's say charge on the outer surface is x. So sum of these two should be equal to q. So this should be equal to x minus 2q. So x will be how much? 3q. Okay. So x will be equal to 3q charge present over here. Alright. So this is the situation before connecting them. Now after connecting, what will happen? After connecting, they behave like a single sphere. They behave like a single sphere. So when you connect them, I have connected the two spheres over here. Alright. So now they behave like a single sphere. So in case of a sphere or a single conductor, all charge lies on the outside. What is the total charge that we have? 3q. So the outer surface will acquire entire charge 3q. This will be 0, this will be 0, this will be 0. That's it. Okay. You, because this is a single conductor, now there cannot be any charge inside the conductor. Alright. All the charge is outside. Great. So students, let's try this question now. Again we've got two same conductors, but the outer conductor is now earthed. That means its potential becomes 0. And both of them have been given initially charge q. And now we have to find the charge distribution again. Think. The outer shell is earthed, its potential is 0. So actually the outer shell will exchange some amount of charge with the earth. So this value is not important anymore. Okay. So what will happen in this case? Think now. We have to compare the potential. So let's see. So the outer shell has been earthed. Inner shell has charge Q. Okay. Now what will happen to the outer shell? Let's try to understand. For the outer shell, we don't know the new charge distribution, but we do know that the inner shell will have charge 0 and Q. Correct? Then this inner surface will have how much charge? This charge will be equal to minus Q. Opposite of this will appear over here. Simple. Right. Now what about the outer surface? We don't know the value. So let's put it X. We don't know the value because we are connected to the ground. Okay. Now for the outer shell, let's find the potential. So V outer will be how much? We will find the potential one by one due to all the charges. So I'm finding the potential over here. So due to 0 we don't care. Due to Q charge, what is the potential over here? Q charge is on a spherical surface. So potential will be KQ by 2R. Why 2R? Because we are finding the potential at distance 2R. This shell will behave like a point charge. Remember shell theorem, right? Okay. Now what about minus Q? So this will also create potential K minus Q by 2R. And what about X? This will create potential Kx by 2R. Okay. Now because of earthing, the V outer will become 0. And these two are also getting cancelled out. So we are left with 0 plus Kx by 2R. So from here I get X equal to 0. So we have 0 charge, Q minus Q, and this becomes 0 again. So this is your charge distribution for this question. Okay. Try a similar question now. So in this case, the inner sphere has been earthed. Again, both were given initially charge Q and Q, but because the inner sphere has been earthed, so we don't care about the charge of the inner sphere because its value will change. Now what to do? Think. Again, assume some charge X for the inner surface, for the inner shell, sorry. So let me try. So this has been earthed. The outer shell is charge Q. We don't know the charge of the inner shell. So let's just assume 0 and X. We have to find the value of X. Okay. Then this surface will have charge minus X. This will be always opposite to the inner charge. And finally, outer surface will have how much charge? Y. So sum of these two is equal to Q. So Q equal to Y minus X, or Y will become equal to Q plus X. Is that clear? So all these charges are in terms of X. So all we need to do is find the value of X. So for that, make the potential of the inner sphere equal to 0. So again, V inner equal to, first of all, let's find the formula. So 0 charge doesn't matter. Due to X, potential at distance R will be how much? Kx by R. Due to minus X is at distance 2R, but I have to find the potential at distance R. That is, I have to find the potential inside this shell. So according to shell theorem, if you remember, inside the shell, electric field is 0, potential becomes constant. So inside the shell, due to this charge, potential will be K minus X by 2R. Now we need to use the radius of the outer shell. Okay, this is very important, bachon. So due to this outer charge, we will use the radius of the outer shell only. Similarly for Y, we will write down Ky by 2R. This is R, but these two will be 2R. Okay. So Inner shell has potential 0. So 0 equal to kx by r minus kx by 2r plus k q plus x by 2r. I have replaced y with this formula. So minus kx by 2r plus kx by 2r will get cancelled out. So I get 0 equal to kx by r plus kq by 2r. So finally I get x equal to minus q by 2. So I found x, so I can find the charge on each of the surfaces. Is that clear? Okay. So this is all that you have to do in this question. So these were the spherical shells that we discussed. Alright. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you understood everything very well. You are now much more confident with the questions of the conductors. And again, most important point, you should keep revising them. If you don't revise, you will always forget everything. Okay. So some students were asking me, sir, whether we should read everything again or not. So my advice is don't read. I have already explained you all the important theory. Some other theory that you already are now able to recall. Okay. Focus more on the practice. And if you got your own notes, revise your notes. That's it. Don't read books again. This will be waste of your time. You don't have so much of time now. Okay. So scan this QR code and join me on a Telegram. Alright. Then take care, guys. Bye bye. All the best for your studies and see you again in the next lecture.